Going live, I see in the top corner. Live. All right. Here we are again. Welcome everybody to the annual member summit by Holland Fintech, this time the 2021 edition. I hope you all already have already been able to log into Hopin. I hope some of you are already familiar with the platform, because if you know how it works, it will really help and increase your experience right now. Anyways, very much welcome to the annual member summit. My name is Michael. I'm here on behalf of Holland Fintech, of course, and I'm going to moderate the session today and make sure that you get all the information that we have ready for you in the right way. So I hope you are all logged in. It's 4 o'clock, so it's 4:02, so we should have started 2 minutes ago. So without further ado, let's get started with the rest of the program. So briefly to walk you through the agenda today, we have a nice video that we created especially for today. Then Don is going to run you all through the program that we set up for 2021. Then I'm going to hand over the word to Douwe Liklama, who is going to present the board and the new structure. We have Olaf Sleijpen from the DNB. He's going to talk about the future of supervision. We have Alexander Stevens from DG Fisma, who is going to tell us about the future of digital finance. And then we have made a special dedicated moment for networking at the end of the session, because we all know in these digital times it's a little bit difficult to network. But this app, which we are using to broadcast today, has a special networking feature which we really want you to use at the end of the session and try and get the valuable connections that you used to were able to get during the physical networking sessions. So that's it for the agenda, and that means now it's time for the video. It's a few minutes, so I hope you have something nice to drink and sit back and enjoy. I have to just reshare my screen and make sure the sound is on as well. Made that mistake already a few times in the rehearsal. Here we go. All right, here's the video. Oh, not at the video yet, I see. A few slides in between. Let me see if that's correct. Yes, it is. Okay, so first just a little look back on the past year. This is the team right now of Holland Fintech. We are 10 people strong. This is basically the people that are working for all our members currently behind the scenes. It's a little bit difficult, especially in these digital times now, to really know who you're dealing with from Holland Fintech's perspective. So this is just a quick overview of the team, so you can also have an image when you're talking to one of us digitally, that you know a little bit who you're talking to, which is always nice. And I hope many of you still know us from 1 year ago, where we still were able to do things physically. And the next slide is about the Insurtech team. So we have a dedicated Insurtech team that's working on behalf of Holland Fintech as well. Because we see the need to focus on Insurtech. We see a lot of opportunities there, and we are really trying to help the market to realize these opportunities. So we set up a special team to focus purely on Insurtech. Besides that, you can also see the people who were active on the board of Holland Fintech for the past years, and really helped us become the company we were today. And then, of course, we have Esther Groen, who really helped us set up the board and helped us translate that to the practical activities and the structure of Holland Fintech. So this is it for the team of Holland Fintech. So you can have some faces and put some faces to the team members. You have an idea of our Insurtech team and the advisory board. And I think that that means it is time to go to the video, the recap video of 2020. So I hope you enjoy. Oh, and connection dropped out. Let me try again quickly. There we go. welcome and thank you all for being here today.
In Europe to confirm cases of coronavirus.
While the coronavirus continues to spread at speed.
The virus is spreading rapidly.
People are no longer allowed to gather with more than 4 people at a time, whether it be indoors or outdoors.
I want to thank Holland Fintech for opening up their network and give us access to really interesting financial people. With a financial ad like bots, we really need to have this kind of experience. Thank you very much and keep up the good work.
My name is Elizabeth Kleinfeld, and I'd like to thank Holland Fintech for all of the help they've given the startups in our FinTech and cybersecurity program over the past 5 years. All of the pitch events, coming and speaking about how the AFM and the FCA are different. So many events that we've co-hosted and really helped these startups to evolve, not only in the Netherlands, but linking them to other parts of the ecosystem in Europe and beyond. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Benedict Wijnings and I am the co-founder of Blanco. To us, Holland Fintech is a knowledgeable sparring partner. They deserve to be spotlighted just like they often spotlight Blanco, which we highly appreciate. We're happy to be a member and will definitely enjoy our cooperation in the future too.
With a huge selection of events and a constant flow of information, Holland Fintech has been one of our key partners in connecting us to some of the leading fintechs across the world.
Hi everyone, hi Holland Fintech, Productivity here. We've been a partner for many years. Hope to see you and all partners this year in real life. Bye.
2020 with Holland Fintech had already so many great events. Looking forward to this year, guys. See you soon.
The 2020 event was a success. As gold sponsor, Funding Options was able to bring industry players together with our webinar. It was also encouraging to see that Holland Fintech brought the regulator into conversations, and I look forward to more of that in 2021. Together with Holland Fintech, we'll continue championing Fintech and Old-Fi.
Hi, this is Bas van Marissing from YOL Technology Services. Holland Fintech has supported YTS in educating Dutch fintechs about open banking, PSD2, and the opportunities this brings. The network helps us to interact with like-minded and innovative parties. We are looking forward to continue on this journey in 2021.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. Really nice to see some kind words from our member companies, and of course a lot of focus on the whole digitization also of Holland Fintech's activities, because if you would have asked us last year what our video would be like on today's annual member summit, then we definitely wouldn't have thought that we wouldn't have any videos or hardly any videos of physical events. But despite that, we still made the most out of the digital events. So that's really nice to see. And of course, that translated into activities and opportunities also for our member companies who are active internationally. So it took away some of the borders for them to participate in our activities. So there were also a lot of advantages to the digitization of our processes. Don, I can see you already joining. I think that means that you're going to take over from me right now.
Well, never take over, Michael. I can only compliment what you're doing there, of course.
Thanks a lot. Don, I don't think I have to introduce you. You're going to tell everyone here today about the future of Holland Fintech. So whenever you're ready, feel free to share your insights with us.
Thanks, Michael. Shall I also pick up the screen share maybe? That might be the easiest. Oh, no, I can't. I have to rely on you. So very much welcome everyone on behalf of me, Don Ginsel. I'm the founder of Holland Fintech so far, although I do have to think about how to recall myself after today, because it's really a memorable day today where there's a really big change happening in the governance of Holland Fintech, which I think will create a much stronger network and will allow us to do even bigger things than before. So I'm really excited, and I'd love to tell you a little bit more about the background of that. So that's why I've got a couple of slides and a bit of a story for you, and I'm really looking forward to share it with you. And looking forward to have the conversation with you as well about what this all means and to see things are moving forward. First, to sort of re-emphasize, because even though we look at quite some changes today, we actually don't intend to change our mission. We really believe that there's a lot of power in technology, and specifically financial technology, to have a positive impact on the world, and that we should basically really keep being on the lookout for these positive influences by making the world more inclusive, more sustainable, and especially the economic empowerment that it can bring is just really important. So from that perspective, we will keep on educating people, both within the financial industry as well as outside of that. And I think the steps that we're taking today are allowing us to be better at that much more than we were before. Can you take me to the next one, Michael? Yeah. So first of all, I think it's good to emphasize that the things that you're used to from us, we will keep on doing. Over the past 6 years, we've been focused on supporting companies and organizations specifically that had challenges with either entering the financial industry, obtaining a license, finding talent, attracting capital, or finding business partners. And I think over that whole range, we've been able to support loads of companies, both within our network as well as connecting parties to the outside world of our network. And we were able, I think, to gather loads of information about how the financial industry is changing because of the use of technology, and how people could use that to turn it into new business opportunities. But we do think we have to go beyond this because it's not just about helping single organizations. We think we have to focus more on the collective. As you can see on our next slide, we believe there's a big opportunity in collaboration. And what we focused on before was always on vertical collaboration, where we see that we can bring companies in the insurance industry or banking or lending or security and identity. There's all loads of verticals within the financial industry that are all experiencing their own rate of change and their own difficulties with either the regulatory environment or the way that customers are demanding or the way the infrastructure can be facilitating or not. We will keep on doing that, but we will definitely look also for more cross-sectoral challenges. One thing we've added also to the mix over the past years is to focus on transformation. Besides focusing that on startups that might be looking for fundraising or are trying to find talent to build their team, we increasingly saw an appetite with more mature companies to actually reinvent themselves through digital transformation. And so we've been able to acquire quite some knowledge at that level, which we're also really keen to keep on expanding because it both helps to basically bring companies and give them the opportunity to participate in the financial industry of the future. But it's also really essential for everyone to be on their top digital self to be able to collaborate in the value chain. So that adds value to all participants in the network as well. But so that was sort of still relatively individually oriented to try and make companies do better. But how do we then actually make the ecosystem do better as a whole? And this is where we really felt that there was a gap to fill and spurred us to actually go through some changes that we're discussing here today. And that's really about thinking about the climate as a whole, where we see an increasing, perhaps, misunderstanding of the potential of financial services. But also, we think that we can actually more actively take a stance towards making a positive impact on some of today's societal challenges. Think about financial inclusion, think about societal, inequality in society, or think about contributing, for example, to a sustainable economy. All the tools in the digital finance or fintech toolbox can contribute to that greatly. And we think we need to be actively supporting that and also involving all the stakeholders around us to further advocate it. So if you then look at the other parts of our agenda in the next slides, you'll see that impact we brought to the agenda last year with some impact, with some research about financial inclusion, as well as sustainable finance. Also quite some topics we addressed around privacy, for example, which is also a big concern on how to govern that and how to set a good agenda for that, as well as cybersecurity, which is also an increasing challenge for a lot of parties. And I think if you look at all the topics here on the agenda, we will keep on fighting for that, for a more inclusive, diverse financial ecosystem that's not just accessible to people that have a speciality within finance, but it should be accessible to everyone. Think about SME entrepreneurs, think about individuals that use financial products. They should understand the products that they're using, and they should have access to, of course, the best tools that are out there. And digitization could really facilitate that. And so we really drive towards a much stronger voice to the outside world. And that's what makes our fourth pillar of our agenda for this year, really focusing on how do we convey this story to a larger audience. We still see that both policymakers as regulators could be more involved here, but also think about universities, governmental, let's say, societal bodies like consumer organizations that we also think could benefit more from a better understanding of the tools that financial services have to offer. So this is really what we're keen on trying to establish that. But we also figured that that's probably not something we can do in the way that we were shaped before. And you may have seen this image at an earlier stage. We've launched this by the end of December to give already a bit of a heads up of what our program in 2021 might look like. But this is only the rails, right? So this is the foundation, that something that we've been working on over the past years, but then actually to how to take this to the next level and accelerate the impact that we can have with this. That's where we'll go to next. So I want to give you a bit of a heads up of some things that we're doing, also based on your input. We saw that especially, the slide was good, Michael. We saw basically that also when we asked you for input about what Holland Fintech should focus on, we saw that besides organizing events and connecting parties for business, you would really like us to pick up a voice of the industry role. That's really prominent in the way that you basically gave us feedback when we asked in the survey in December, and we're really keen on doing that basically for you. But also to be able to do that, we need to be able to represent the network as a whole properly, and those are the next steps that we're taking right now. Can you move on, Michael? Yes, so this is the input we've got from you. It's a bit bad to read, I can imagine, but we'll move on to the next one because I want to share with you a couple of things that we're working on based also on your input over the past year. So what we're trying to do is we reckon we still have to deal with an online world to a large extent. So even though vaccinations are moving ahead quite fast, we still believe that, especially up until the summer, we're looking at digital events mostly. As soon as we can, we'd love to get you all physically together. But until then, we try to make the best of the online environment. That means that we can do a lot of, we can do much more with content, but we have to be more specific about what it brings and also be able to give you more time to plan ahead. So that's why we want to give a fixed structure in the way that we organize the events and roundtables. So it's much easier for you to know when interesting things might be happening, even though some pieces of the agenda still have to be put together. Of course, we want to do Amsterdam Fintech Week again this year. We did a tryout last year to do it fully online, which came together in only like a month in planning ahead. And we've got much more time on our hands. And we're really keen on actually already doing that in June, which I think will be also a good way of showcasing what the ecosystem has to offer. And for the rest, I think there's a lot of things that are on here that we will be doing, and you might already be expecting for us based on the conversation that we're having. So let's move on. And of course, we'll share this information with you online. One thing to mention, I think, is the Dutch Fintech Map. You've been able to follow the developments of the Dutch fintech ecosystem over the past years with the infographic or Dutch Fintech Map that we've been publishing. And we want to announce especially today that we're going to launch the next version of that. So keep your mailbox, keep your eyes out for your mailbox, because we'll be making a new map to give a good overview of what the fintech ecosystem has to offer today. Move on. Yes, here you can see already some of the versions that we've been circling around. But the important thing is that please, everyone, report to us to join the map, because we really see this as the way of showcasing what the toolbox all has to offer. Move on. The same goes with the next one is the Dutch fintech state of market. So we did this research for the first time last year to get an understanding of how the fintech industry is moving forward. It was really well received when we published it in June, and we're looking to do that again. So besides basically getting yourself on the map, we'd really like to know a little bit about you with regard to, employee statistics, how much funding was raised, how your growth rate looked, all to be able to get a good state of the industry report out that can help, again, policymakers, but also international contacts to really get a good understanding of what's going on in the market. So we're really keen to do that again. Another one is to actually be able to work with you in the online environment. Next week, we'll be launching a closed LinkedIn group for our members to make it even easier for people to connect to each other and be able to share posts like news, vacancies, and other information that's relevant for the network. And of course, and that's why we're especially excited today, if we go to the next slide, we've actually become an association today. And I think this is the big part. Here you see some images of earlier today that both through online and running around with some paper, we had to actually make quite some jumps through some hoops to get it done. But the articles of association have been signed, and Holland Fintech is now really an association. And over the coming time, we'll be bringing you all on board here. But we're really excited now, especially to introduce you to the board that's actually going to act on your behalf to secure that the association and as through the association, also the team from Holland Fintech that you're familiar with is going to support you to create a thriving ecosystem and hopefully support you all in your own growth path further on as well. And I see already that Douwe has joined me. Douwe,
hey,
very much welcome.
Hello.
Douwe will be presiding the board, so I'm really keen on working with you, Douwe, on all this, and I'm really happy that you're on board, and I'm looking forward for you to introduce the board and tell us what further we can expect.
Thank you, Don. Thank you again for this highly energetic presentation, and it really feels, of course, that there is a lot to do still in reg tech after today. But I also really feel it is a very special day, because after 6 years of the founding of Holland Fintech, we are moving to the next phase. And the interesting thing is that it is a running train, so it's very great to become a board member of an already existing train and existing activity. And so we are really there to help support the mission of the members of Holland Fintech. So really a memorable happening today. So I will use some of your time to present to you the board, and also give some way ahead on what this will mean for you as a member and what to expect for the coming year. So with this, there will be the first year that we are functioning as an association. So what happened today is that officially the association was founded, and that and there are the members over the year. Everyone will automatically become a member of this association, and then we will. Later, we will engage in additional member activities which have to do with the governance of the whole association. But before we go into more detail about this, let me flip through to slide number 26, please, Michael. as you know, I'm not managing my own slides here. The other one, the next one, please. Yeah. So the board is here basically. This is the people who said yes to be part of this board and who take upon them the important task of being the first board, because in the first year and the first years there is a lot to be added to the already existing train. And so today we're gonna share with you who they are, and you will meet them in person. But one person could not be here today, one of these 8 persons, and so we will start with a short video by Harry Vollaert.
Goedendag, ik ben Harry Vollaert, Managing Director van Rabobank Ventures, het investeringsvehikel van Rabobank dat investeert in early stage fintech en agritech bedrijven. Het is een 150 miljoen fonds en we hebben tot nu toe zo'n 22 investeringen gedaan wereldwijd. Ik ken Holland Fintech en Don van Ginsel al jarenlang, sterker nog vanaf het allereerste begin voordat Holland Fintech begon. En ik heb het altijd een warm hart toegedragen, omdat ik heb gezien hoe goed dat eigenlijk heeft uitgewerkt in bijvoorbeeld het Verenigd Koninkrijk met Innovate Finance. Ik ben dan ook vereerd dat ik nu als lid van de board van Holland Fintech verder kan ontwikkelen naar de volgende fase en het fintech-ecosysteem verder kan laten ontwikkelen in Nederland. Er is meer dan genoeg te doen en ik kijk ernaar uit.
Thank you, Harry.
Goedendag.
Okay. And then we will get on digital stage 3 of my fellow board members. If all the technology works well, there I see Angelique. Coming, and André. Yes. Hello. Angelique, I don't see you.
Yeah, my webcam has died on me again.
Okay. Then I wanted to ask you to present yourself, but we'll maybe first ask André. Then you give some a little extra time.
Okay, yeah, I also see a weird webcam suddenly, so I'll switch off my cam, but I'll leave on the microphone. Let me start to introduce myself. Sorry about the webcam. Well, I founded Intersolve in 1996, so I realize I probably talk to a lot of young and dynamic organizations at the moment, which are younger than our organization. Start to feel old now. I was a software developer and I started Intersolve as a transaction processing company based on a click fee model that can grow with the success with our clients, if successful. And we are a transaction process for gift card loyalty and payments, and well known in the Netherlands as a backbone for most gift cards. And since 2009, we also got an e-money license from the Dutch bank, DNB. And many years we were the only one with that license, and suddenly we became a fintech company. So why is fintech important for us? Well, we needed that license to manage gift card float value, but such a license is very expensive and time consuming. Our resource usage increased a lot, lots of organizational changes, compliance, legal risk, and the regulator also becomes more and more strict. And the cost of the regulator increased every year. So what we said, we want to utilize our license platform for other white label fintech services, which require payments or management of money in trust accounts, like crowdfunding, payment wallets, gift cards, escrow. And this is what we're doing for a co-branding approach. So we are already a member from Fintech for a couple of years, but being a board member, I hope that we can help each other and help the others with also what it means with the handling the regulating stuff. We went through a very painful process and hope we can share our experience and help other parties also this way. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, André. Thank you for joining the board. Angelique, you made it.
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I'm Angelique. I've worked in financial services and technology, I think, my entire career. And I'm very pleased that Don and Esther, who I've known for years, asked me to join the board because I really believe that the network can play a pivotal role in moving the industry forward. And of course, all to the advantage of our customers. To all of you now tuned in, feel free to reach out to me if you want to discuss going international with your business, technology, innovation, diversity, inclusion. Just reach out, and I hope I can live up to all your expectations.
Thank you very much. And who will be next? It is a surprise. Let's see, because there's a lot of happening backstage, which you don't see, but it's a great system. And Hessel, welcome.
Hello.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Hessel Kuik. I'm CEO and owner of the Biscuit Group. We are a collection of fintechs, actually. We have 2 companies within the group that we run ourselves, which are Minox, an accounting solution, and Biscuit. And Biscuit is an app for entrepreneurs. We call it the Swiss Army knife for entrepreneurs, offering payment services, document processing, and other services that are relevant to SME businesses. We have a PSD2 license, payment initiation and account information services. And we also offer the Biscuit platform to partners to integrate payment services in their solutions, so to other accounting solutions, payroll solutions. Next to Minox and Biscuit, we also have investments in Clippa, a Dutch company active in document processing, and a Canadian company that develops the cloud ERP solution, Paragon ERP, and we bring it to the market in Europe. To my role as CEO, I'm also chairman and founder of the PSD2 software industry group, representing a large share of the PSD2 7 and 8 license holders in the Netherlands. And I'm a member of the Berlin Group Next PSD2 advisory group. But we are with Minox and Biscuit members of Holland Fintech already for many years. We've gained a lot from our membership in networking with other fintechs, banks, regulators, legal experts, consultants, and also we've got a lot of exposure. So brought us a lot, also a lot of fun with the event, and I'm happy and proud to represent the members as a board member. So thank you very much.
Great. Thanks for coming along. You also bring, of course, like everyone, a lot of experience, and it's all available for our members. Marcel.
Hey, Douwe. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Marcel Prins. I'm Chief Operating Officer at APG Asset Management. APG being a big pension fund service provider, where we have, amongst others, ABP, BPF Bouw, and SPW as our clients there. Within the board of APG Asset Management, we're collectively responsible now for managing a lot of the pension money here in the Dutch system, around 580 billion, which we cannot do without technology. And of course, looking at the last years, but for sure looking forward, the role of technology and data is of increasing relevance here. We have embraced as APG a truly open ecosystem, collaborating on an international scale, also collaboration with universities, with big parties, but for sure also with the whole startup and fintech landscape there. So I'm very happy and proud also to be able to contribute to the next step for Holland Fintech there, with increased attention also by the regulators, but for sure I think a true fundamental belief that some of the challenges going forward around data or data interchange can only be solved or best solved by true collaboration. I'm very much looking forward to, together with the rest of the board, but for sure with all the members of Holland Fintech, to take the next step here. So looking forward to the collaboration.
Thank you. Then there's Fleur. Hey.
Hello. Can I introduce myself already? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, it's very nice to meet all of you, and it's a privilege to be a part of Holland Fintech. My name is Fleur Desjardins. I have experience for over 20 years in financial services. First, my experience was in the field of banking with ING, And after that, I went into insurance for the last 10 years, experience with Aura, and currently I'm CEO at Insurtech. We all benefit. And so I do that now for 4 years. And for me, it's with Insurtech, but also with Holland Fintech, I think it's essential to speed up and stimulate innovation within financial services, but in my field, especially the insurance industry, I feel there's a need for change, and there's a lot of room to improve and get a better customer experience. And of course, we can do it by ourselves as one industry or one organization, but I really believe in the strength of having one ecosystem stimulating this innovation. And for me, Holland Fintech gives this platform to do so. So I'm more than willing to contribute, and I look forward to it. And whenever you feel it's good to reach out, or you have insights that I can help you with, please feel free to contact me. So look forward to it.
Great, thank you, Fleur. It's great to see everybody, and I feel very much honored as well to be the interim chair of this board. My name is Douwe Lieklamer. I'm the founder of InnoPay, which is a consulting firm founded almost more or less 20 years ago. And over time, I found out that what I was doing was fintech as well, and became also founding member of Fintech Holland. So we go back a long time. In daily life, I'm very active in the area of data, identity, and payments, and especially in data, we're also known from the Open Banking Monitor, and also the Open Insurance Monitor, and also in the whole data field of data sharing and AI and so on. So we're active in Frankfurt and in Amsterdam. So I think your board is very much lined up, having a lot of disciplines there. And in combination with the already existing Holland Fintech operation, which Don and the team have built up in the past years, I'm very confident we can bring Fintech to the next level in the coming years. So what you can expect for the coming year is first we need to set up this whole this new layer of governance, because it's basically that Don is saying to us as members that he wants to be more guided even by his members. He was already very sensitive to his members, but now this whole idea is now much more formalized by having a board. But the board is again a representation of the General Assembly, which is the highest, which is all the members collective, and there will be on a regular basis a yearly member summit, which we plan to have in January, and for special occasions we can have additional general assemblies during the year. And this first year is definitely an exceptional year, so we are planning to have another general assembly somewhere in September, in which we can report back on what has been achieved in the past months, and also take some decisions. One of them is to formalize also the board towards its members, and it's good practice to also ask permission for what we are planning. So we are now in a kind of bootstrap phase, and also to formalize some additional bylaws within the association. But we feel very comfortable that there is already a program. Don already showed us some of the things he has been planning with the team that will be staying in place. But there will be the whole idea of this association is to deepen the member engagement, and we will also set up a more formal working group structure, in which we can take up certain topics together with groups of members in order to advance this for the fintech field. And it's in a few moments we will ask you for some input, some questions for type of topics you would like to see as you are sitting here today. Of course, there are already also many ideas, but it's always good to validate this together. Maybe we can show now slide 34, which is the summary of the whole what happened today. And you see there on top the General Assembly, then the board, and then there is the working groups where the Holland Fintech teams is like servicing our association. Then we move on to the next slide. We as an association, we are not let's say alone on this world. There are many associations, and well, virtually all associations in industry and in services have more dealings with digitization, and of course also digital finance. And it is our objective also as Board of Holland Fintech as association to be in close alignment with all the other associations which are already doing a lot of things, and to help where we can, and to give additional perspectives, and to join forces where needed, and to be at least very much servicing also our ecosystem around us, who have been there already long time in bringing forward certain topics, and we are more and more confronted with digitization. This concludes a first introduction of our board, and so we will now ask you a few interactive Menti questions just to get warmed up for the whole member engagement, which we are pursuing, and we will do this, of course, many more times in the future. Be more in contact with very specific topics and questions. So this is again a kind of technological twist. Now, Michael, you're going to put up a slide with the Menti numbers. Yes, we have to go to menti.com and fill out the number which you see there, and just put in some words which come up, and then we will see a word cloud coming up, and I'm very curious to see it. Let me get my phone as well. So I hope everything is working, and Michael, are there already answers coming in?
First answers are coming in. Please note there is around a 10-second delay between when you are speaking live and getting the feedback.
Okay. Oh, that's a small print. Oh, okay, yeah. Good. Nice. RegTech is also on there, so we can indeed set up association and set up companies in a very smooth way in the future. Of course, PSD2 several times. Maybe you can scroll a bit, Michael. Slowly. Data is coming back. Crypto, blockchain, sustainability. Yeah, cool. Great. Thanks a lot. We go to the next questions. We have, I think, 2 other questions. Yeah, so this is our challenge. What should we prioritize? Can be anything. What do you see happening outside? regulation, COVID. Collaboration. And of course Brexit, because that's definitely not over. Yep. All right, another 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we can go to the next question, Michael. Well, there may be some overlap with this question and the earlier answers. All right, then this was the last one, or is there another one, Michael? Yeah, this is really the last one, and this is the $1 million question, of course. The most important one. When are we successful? Yeah, it's definitely the connectivity within the association, unleashing the value of our collective energy and intelligence. More members is definitely also a measure. Fun, yeah, not to forget that one. Beers, indeed, cold beers especially. Yeah, great. Very good suggestions so far. Let's give it another 5 seconds. For the sake of time, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 0, and this marks the end of this part of the program. Thank you all for your attention. I would like to give the floor back to Michael or Don to take us to the next part of the program. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Douwe. It's great to have you still as part of the coming board as well, and really nice also to have you to introduce what the plans are from that perspective. So let me just briefly share my screen again, because it is time for the next speaker to take the stage. And the next speaker is Olaf Sleijpen. He's a director at the Dutch Central Bank. So Olaf, if you are ready, please join the session by asking permission to share your screen and video. There you are. Great. And then whenever you're ready, feel free to start.
Thank you, Michael. I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm audible. Okay, great. Yeah, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon with you all. A very special day. I heard that already, and I also had the pleasure of indeed listening to the previous session and seeing what you regard as important for the future, for this year, and indeed, regulation comes pretty high on the list. So yeah, maybe I can help you a little bit with that in this introduction today. And let me start by saying that the context between the Dutch Central Bank and the Nederlandse Bank and Holland Fintech go back actually, I think, to the foundation of Holland Fintech. We've always regarded Holland Fintech as a very valuable partner of the Dutch Central Bank. You're critical, which is good, by the way, but you're also always very constructive. You are creative, and you're also inclusive, given that you cover the whole fintech landscape, as we've seen on the 5.0 Fintech Map of the Netherlands. I still like it a lot, actually, because you cover both the very small startups to the big institutions, the big financial institutions, the big banks, the big pension providers, as well as the insurance companies. So we very much appreciate your role, and indeed would like to congratulate you on, let's say, the next step in your evolution, the establishment of the association Holland Fintech today. I can make a lot of bad jokes about moving from, let's say, an agile organization into an association with articles of association, but I'm not going to make those. But I think it is a step forward in your evolution, and I'm looking forward, and also on behalf of all my colleagues of the Dutch Central Bank, to cooperating with you also in the future. Looking at your website, I was struck by the amount of attention you already pay to COVID, and if there was a sector that, maybe to say it that way, that was ready for the pandemic, then I think it definitely was the fintech sector. And COVID has also boosted the digitalization in all areas of life, but also indeed in the area of finance. And in the Netherlands, and not only in the Netherlands, digital payments have increased spectacularly over the past year, just to give you one example. And indeed, fintech is not the trend of the future. And maybe a couple of years ago, that was how we were addressing technological innovations in the financial sector. We can say that it is here right now. And let me also stress, and I know some of you may not always feel it that way, but that we at the Dutch Central Bank, we welcome the development of innovation and technological innovation in the financial sector, both as a central bank as well as a regulator. And you may ask any student in economics what the main driver of economic growth and prosperity is, and he will most likely answer that it's technological innovation, and that also goes for the financial sector. It enables cheaper, faster, more secure services, increased competition, financial inclusion, and thereby overall enhances people's welfare. Obviously, at the same time, fintech also raises some fundamental questions about the safety, stability, and the accessibility of the financial system. What role, just to mention a few of those questions, what role will big techs play with the lines between banks and tech firms becoming more and more blurred? Who is responsible for security and financial stability? How do new technologies influence cyber and financial crime? What are the holes and obstacles in regulation? What does it mean for level playing field? What do digital currencies mean for financial stability? And can a digital euro help safeguard the public interests in the financial system? And last but not least, there are also social issues involved in the digitalization of the financial sector. And not everyone can keep pace with the current speed of digitalization. For vulnerable groups, consumers like the elderly or low-income earners, digital exclusion may be another serious barrier. Now, and it is our task, at least that's how we see it, to keep the financial system safe and to keep it sound. And the key question then is, how can we as regulators strike the right balance between facilitating innovation on the one hand, while containing risks to the financial system on the other hand, so that both consumers as well as firms and the economy as a whole can optimally benefit from new technologies. And it is a delicate balance. Innovation needs room to experiment, but this can also sometimes conflict with our responsibility to limit risks in the financial sector and to ensure a safe financial system. And I know that many of you are concerned that regulation might stifle innovation and dynamism in the market. In 2019, the Dutch government, together with EY, conducted a fintech census and responded to that survey. They said that they regarded the quality of supervision as high and the attention for innovation as something positive, but at the same time, the licensing process was regarded as very costly, very drawn out, and many of you also expressed concerns about a level playing field, both at the European level as well as between large companies and small companies. And I must say, I fully understand your concerns here. I know it isn't fun if you are a startup wanting to roll out a brilliant new business model in the financial sector and you run into piles of financial regulation that you have to comply with. Regulation that is not always designed for a system in which the lines between the financial and the technology sector are getting more and more blurred. At the same time, the reality is that the financial sector is a heavily regulated sector. And we all know that regulations are there for a reason, to protect consumers and to ensure a sound, stable financial system supporting the economy. And if you want to be a player in the financial market, then you have to play by the rules. And maybe in Europe, our stand, the Dutch stance, sometimes seems to be a little bit strict, but let's, at the other hand, not forget that being strictly regulated can also be a selling point internationally. Now, what can we do as a regulator and as a sector to accommodate innovation as much as possible within the existing regulatory framework? Let me start by saying something about what we as regulators are doing. And I will end by saying what you could do to help us. Now, first of all, we engage in a dialogue with the financial sector in all kinds of ways. Take, for example, the iForum, which is a platform that we have created to work with financial firms on the impact of new technology on the financial system and supervision. And within iForum, we are working together with Holland Fintech to identify obstacles for financial innovation and come up with solutions. And together with the Authority of Financial Markets, the AFM, we are also looking how to better accommodate innovative experimentation within the existing regulation. With Holland Fintech, we also organize the Fintech Meets the Regulator events to address topical developments of mutual interest. And then there is, of course, the Innovation Hub. The Innovation Hub is there for all your questions about fintech and regulation, and it is not just intended for established firms, so please feel free to reach out to us also there. We also use your input to be more adaptive as a regulator. When it is not clear what the rules mean under the new fintech circumstances or how they should be applied, we look at the underlying objectives of the regulation and translate them into a set of core principles. Principles that the sector can apply in a way that fits the new environment and leaves space for innovation, while at the same time continuing to support or to protect customers and financial stability. And this is exactly what we did with these general principles for the use of artificial intelligence in the financial sector that we published last year. Many of the questions concerning fintech extend beyond our traditional financial sector knowledge. And that is why we also reach out to stakeholders that are perhaps less familiar to us, like, for example, software developers. And we also keep in contact with other supervisors. And these include data and privacy authorities and institutions responsible for internet governance. One example in this respect is our recent joint initiative with the Dutch Authority for Consumers and Markets and the Data Protection Authority. It is called Future-Proof Financial Supervision, and involves looking together at obstacles and solutions for fintech. And lastly, we have developed a digital strategy to make optimal use of technology ourselves. And this will allow us to do our job as central bank and supervisor more effectively and also more efficiently. And we are investing in our digital portals to enable a faster and more efficient exchange of data with supervised institutions. And we want to work towards more real-time supervision. And we are also investing in the digital skills of our staff to promote an adaptive and flexible working culture with room for creative ideas. Now, let me end with a couple of remarks about what you can do as members of Holland Fintech. First of all, I would say stay innovative, dynamic, and creative, and those are the real forces that drive progress. And second, I would encourage you to challenge us. I think you have done so before. Really appreciate that. Continue to do that, but also try to put yourselves in our shoes. As I said before, there is a reason why we have financial regulation. There is a reason why there is a regulator, and I think the best way forward is to come up with proposals that also help us. And indeed, dialogue is, so to say, it's a two-way street. And there's still laws that continue to apply even to cool technologies. And this dialogue can help you and other stakeholders to better understand what financial stability is about, what is needed to protect it, and what we should do to build an innovative financial system that is safe and sound by design. Thank you very much for your time. And those were my introductory words. And I agreed with Don that I would also be available for some questions and to answer some questions if, of course, there are any. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Olaf. Very nice to hear those words from the Dutch Central Bank. I believe Don should be on his way for a brief Q&A indeed. So Don, if you're hearing this, please join us. In the meantime, we had one slide to go with it, so I can just share that in the meantime. I'm not sure if Don, if you're aware that we're doing the Q&A, trying to do, there you are.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Apologies for the delay. It takes a while to get back on board. So thank you very much, Olaf, for your encouraging words, I think, towards financial innovation. And of course, the congratulations coming for you are really also well appreciated. I think we've indeed valued the relationship with the Dutch Central Bank already over the past years, since we already, I think, also had the 5th anniversary of the Fintech Meets the Regulator event that we organized together. So I'm really happy with that perspective that we can keep on working with you together. I would be curious to just explore a couple of things with you to maybe give our audience a bit more flavor on how a couple of things work. I know that there are a couple of topics that are really on their mind at the moment. And I know that, of course, you won't be able to answer everything instantly and solve all problems that we can find. But at the same time, I think what remains important, what has also always been the base of Fintech Meets the Regulator, for example, is to continuously exchange mutual perspectives. So we can keep on learning from each other why we take a certain position in a certain direction, both from a regulatory perspective, which of course, indeed, as you explained, you have a specific role to fulfill, but as well as for market participants that, for example, are trying to do something good and just trying to find their way through the maze of the regulations. One of the things I think that one of the topics I think that's high on the agenda, also being part of some of the discussions of the I-Forum about the future of regulations, right, is I think a discussion about entity-based or activity-based regulation. I think this could potentially have quite a big impact on the way this works. How do you look at that perspective? How do you look at that from a Dutch central bank perspective at the moment?
Yes, you're right. This is one of the I think one of the important topics that's being taken up by the iForum. And indeed, if you look at the current regulatory landscape in Europe, because that's in a way our baseline, and most of the regulation is coming from Europe, there are a few exceptions, but mostly it's European legislation. Indeed, it's mostly, most of it is entity based. Not everything, but most of it is entity based. And this is not really working always if you look at, let's say, the world of fintech, which is much more like a value chain. And you also see more and more, let's say, non-traditional players in the financial sector entering here, either as a provider, as service provider, or in many forms. So, and I think also the regulators, the lawmakers, the policymakers have actually, they see this also by listening to the sector. And there is now this idea about, okay, what if we move from entity-based to more activity-based kind of regulation? I think it's also now acknowledged by the European Commission that this is an interesting thought of thinking. And also, if you look at the digital finance strategy of the European Commission that's recently been published for consultation, you also kind of see that this is, I mean, the Commission is not saying we're going there, but they're going to explore it. I'm not sure whether, let's say, the ultimate goal should be activity-based regulation, because it is really something big then we are talking about. However, thinking in that way, thinking in that direction, will in any case help us to improve current level of, or the current kind of regulation. And I think one of the things that we really have to tackle, and there I think this activity-based thinking might help, is indeed the level playing field discussion between the very big players, for whom maybe, you know, PSD2 might be something that is relatively easy to implement, because you know they're already working in that space, that regulatory space anyway. And if you are a small payment institution just starting and have to start from scratch, I mean, this might help. So I think it's definitely an avenue that we have to explore, that we are exploring. At the same time, I must also admit and say, you know, it will not mean that in 2 or 3 years we will have a completely different regulatory landscape, but at least I think it is generally acknowledged by everybody that the current regulatory landscape is, let's say, not completely fit anymore for the environment that we are in.
Yeah, of course, we'll also be talking to Alexander Stevens in a minute about that as well, who's involved at the European level, which I think is definitely interesting to look at that interaction. And of course, this is in the end all also about a level playing field, right? So I think what we see as well is that it becomes harder and harder to identify a type of company, because companies tend to behave more differently, bring multiple activities together that were not together before, and that basically creates inequality in the market, where it sometimes feels like new entrants could have a different perspective on the regulations than the existing parties, or that startup versus incumbent might have a different perspective. So I think it's definitely good to look at that. And so how do you see also your role to for example, do you try to validate whether there's a level playing field? Because I know that, for example, also around on a European level, right? So the parties regulated in different countries might get a different experience at their regulator. And of course, through European passporting, they might still be able to do business in any other country. How do you try to assess that perspective from the Dutch Central Bank? Are you trying to keep an eye out for how that's evolving?
Yes, definitely. I think, first of all, at the European level, of course, what the European Commission basically does on a structural level, indeed, is that from time to time, all legislation is being assessed and evaluated. If there are clear signals coming from the market, or from regulators, that there is a problem with the level playing field, it's definitely on the agenda, and the Commission will look at whether it should be addressed, yes or no. Of course, in the end, it's a political decision. So it's clearly always on the agenda. And when it comes to, let's say, at the national level, given the fact that we try to reach out so much to the sector, and we have the Fintech Meets the Regulator event, the Innovation Hub, the contacts also that we have with other regulators, we also constantly try to, let's say, taste and smell these kind of signals, whether
briefly
whether
to
there's a level playing field, yes or no.
Yeah, because especially if you mention the other regulators, I think there's also now the EFIF, right? The body where the European regulators are coming together to explore their role in innovation. Do you see that body could play an important role as well to equalize the way financial regulation is being implemented?
I hope so. I hope so, because I also acknowledge that regulators also look differently at certain issues. Sometimes the cause of that is in the legislation itself. Sometimes it's also a matter of, how do you say it, culture, tradition. For instance, if you look at privacy, the GDPR, and partially I think it's the GDPR itself, but partially it also is, let's say, the way how the privacy regulators are operating. There is a huge difference, to be quite frank. I don't want to be a judge here, but there is a huge difference between the way they look sometimes at issues and the way, let's say, we sometimes look at issues. And I think it's also important that the regulators, among themselves, they understand each other, at least to understand the positions that they are taking and why they are taking them. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to change the world. It's important that we're doing it, but it's not going to change the world tomorrow, I'm afraid. But
no,
it will take some time.
It will definitely take time, but I think it's well with in mind a sustainable, trustworthy financial industry. People are willing to have patience, I think, for this, as long as there's some traction. I think people would like to see things moving in the right direction. I think that's at least I see that you're opening up to learn and to validate how we can improve the way regulations are shaping the rules for financial services. I've one a bit tricky question perhaps for you. So if you have to choose from two things, what you would like to be, would you like to think that the Dutch Central Bank needs to be faster or cheaper?
I think we need to be both, to be quite frank, and that's what we are working on. So, I mean, I don't think if you really want me to make a choice, I would say then I think we need to be faster. But I think we need to do both, and and indeed, I mean, I'm very well aware of the discussion about the costs, and indeed, some of it is definitely, and some of you probably were at the discussions, the more in-depth discussions that we had about our budgetary framework. But some of the costs are indeed investing into the future, hopefully. Making both supervision, the quality of supervision better, but at the same time also more efficient, and that's something where I hope you all guys will also always continue to scrutinize us whether we indeed are living up to what we said that we would do.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I think that's really helpful, Olaf. And I think I'm really glad with your ambition. And I think we all understand that it's change doesn't come overnight in an environment as the financial industry and financial regulation. But I think your attitude and openness to have the conversation and learn together with us where the future of financial services might go, I think that's really encouraging. So I would definitely like to thank you for your contribution today. I think it's really
my pleasure.
Valuable to be able to have the conversation. And I'm looking forward to organize, well, of course, the next Fintech Meets the Regulator, but also in the meanwhile, I think to keep the conversation alive for when our members or when the Dutch Central Bank feel that is necessary to have a conversation and explore each other's standpoint. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. And good luck with the association.
Thank you, Olaf. Looking forward to talk to you again soon. And then we're looking forward to talk to Alexander. Let's see if Alexander's finding his way.
Hello.
Yes, there he is.
I'm glad it works.
Yeah, great, Alexander. Thank you for joining us. For everyone who's listening in, Alexander is very much involved with the digital finance package, and especially is very keen on exploring how all the parties active in fintech are looking at the different kind of futures that the financial industry could move into over the coming years to let that help shape the whole idea about financial regulation. And so I'm really happy, and also I find it really encouraging how proactive you are to discover what the market has in knowledge that you might be able to use when writing new legislation. And so I'd love to give you the floor to understand a bit on what you're working on currently, what kind of call you perhaps have for the fintech ecosystem, and I'll get back to you again also afterwards with a couple of questions.
Thank you very much, Don. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to your community. I must say, Holland Fintech is one of the higher fintech associations in the EU, the most active, and Don is a very important name to whom we're. Thanks for having me. So basically, we, the Digital Finance Unit at the European Commission, is still a young unit. We were launched early last year, 2020, sorry. And what we did to begin is a sort of public consultation over the course of a few months. It was called the Digital Finance Outreach. We run about 30 webinars across the European Union, across countries, but also across topics to gather feedback. We had about 6,000 participants in total online, and hundreds of written answers to a public consultation. And that allowed us really to hear from the industry, from the ecosystem, what are the key problems, what could be potential solutions, and what should be done. And so in September last year, we launched the Digital Finance Strategy that is basically shaped around 4 key pillars. Now, the first one is, and I saw in the short quiz that you sent earlier, what are like the key challenges for fintech in 2021, and I read the Brussels obstacles. So definitely our first pillar is really reducing fragmentation in the digital finance market, single market, particularly for digital finance. One of the more concrete examples is KYC. So we heard many KYC technology providers that they were struggling implementing the solutions across different member states. And so we announced that we will now review the anti-money laundering and the counter-terrorism financing rules, and review the framework for electronic identification, the EIDAS regulation, to make sure that it's more harmonized across member states and that the same solutions can be clearly implemented in all countries. And we're also making sure that any other fragmentation in the digital single market is overcome, because we are a large market of 300 million customers, and we want to make sure that startups in Europe are not only restricted to their local market, but can directly cater to the whole European Union, just as if you were in the US or in China. So it's really to help you get a bigger market, be more successful, be able to get funding and go forward. So we are looking into how we can passport further of our legislations, and it's particular for digital finance. And we set up what's called the European Forum for Innovation Facilitators, which basically gathers all the innovation hubs, regulatory sandboxes across the EU, and encouraging countries that haven't done so to go further and know what are the best practices. So basically these contact points in all NCAs just like at the DNB, and make them work together, meet regularly, and exchange best practices on how they're dealing with fintechs, innovations, and how they are helping them go through the licensing process. One of the more interesting subjects is the idea of cross-border testing, basically allowing innovative projects to be tested across member states at the same time. So not only in one country, but in multiple EU member states. And so a procedural framework is due for mid-2021 among the members of this innovation forum. And we are also looking into building a sort of digital interface where users, consumers, companies across Europe can have information, standard information across member states on the licensing requirements, and enable you to reach out to these innovations hubs more easily and when you make your applications. The second key pillar definitely is removing all the obstacles in the regulatory framework so far that are hindering digital innovation. One example is the crypto assets framework proposal that we announced in September. And so hopefully in the next years will be adopted and allowed to provide more legal certainty in the market of crypto assets, and allow more development of innovations and companies in the sector, and allowing users, consumers to feel more comfortable. And another segment is how artificial intelligence tools are being used in the financial sector. So it's about providing more regulatory and supervisory guidance on how AI should be used in finance, making sure that we avoid the black box issues, and that regulators can really see what is being done and how are consumers affected when they're confronted to a machine learning AI interface. And then overall, finally, we will conduct regular reviews of our legislations and to know what are the key obstacles. In digital finance, innovation goes fast, and that's why we as regulators also need to act fast and be able to act in time to not hinder innovation, and be able still to help the EU market to compete with foreign players. And so therefore, we will provide regular guidances on specific legislations when it comes to digital finance implementation. Third pillar is that we want to promote a more data-driven innovation in the financial sector, and have a common data space. Now, one of the topics is that we'll be launching the European Single Access Point for financial and non-financial data of listed companies in the coming years. That means that any listed company in Europe will provide a structured, standardized, machine-readable format, a data set of their financial and non-financial information data, enabling anyone to access it, and which we hope will help develop new proof of concepts and innovative solutions in the field. Second, we want to promote more RegTech and SubTech. So we will make sure that we are now launching a strategy on supervisory data, how financial authorities should provide this data and make it public in a structured format to help develop SubTech solutions, and also see how RegTech solutions could potentially be certified, so that when RegTech providers go to customers, they can be sure that it applies the frameworks that they're solving digitally. And then lastly, we have open banking. There will be a review of the PSD2, but it's also the idea of moving forward and and doing open finance and potentially moving to open data. So there will be a legislative proposal on a broader open finance framework by mid-2022 next year. Last pillar is addressing the challenges and risks associated with digital transformation. So definitely making sure that we safeguard financial stability, protect investors and consumers, and basing ourselves on the motto, which is same activity, same risk, and same rules. So we are now requesting advice from the European supervisory authorities on how to address these issues, and we will decide on further legislative amendments in mid-2022. And then finally, sustainability is a very important topic, and so it's also about knowing how digital transformation is to be done in a sustainable way, making sure that it respects the environment, contributes to respecting social and governance measures. And we have seen now with the coronavirus crisis how really digital finance has been a big help in helping the ecosystem to go forward while we all work at home. And that also has given more impetus and importance to this file of digital finance. And so we have now more of the political backing to go forward and be more ambitious. And I would like to finish by the digital finance outreach we had last year, and the fact that we're working and constantly with the national fintech associations and also with the European Digital Finance Association. We are doing this so that we hear from you, get your feedback, and know what has to be done. It's about working together, collaborating, and we're open to hear as much as possible. And so I can say that we're working on building a digital finance platform where anyone will be able to sign up, submit their observations on a European-wide forum specifically on digital finance, and share reviews, reports, educational videos and other materials on digital finance with the rest of the other players in the European Union, really making sure that we all work together, all 27 countries, and create one single digital finance market.
I think that's it for your presentation so far, Alexander. Okay, great,
yes,
great. Then that would mean Don, whenever you're ready, you're very welcome to join again. There you are, navigating the Q&A.
Sorry again for the delay. Again, some issues to get back in. Well, thank you, Alexander. I think that's it's really interesting to get your perspective here, and I think your efforts to reach out to the communities, all the events that you've visited and the calls that you've had with everyone to just harvest as much information as possible from the industry as well, to sort of help further shape the coming legislation. One thing I'm curious about, you mentioned it also as one of your last points, is the digital interface that you envision to create as well. What can we expect from that? So how do you think that there will, could any company basically go there and post a case that they would like feedback on, or is it about legislation to get feedback on? How should it operate?
Well, it's ongoing work, so it will evolve, be incremental. I think the low-hanging fruits, what we could do immediately is have a sort of forum on some of the key legislations we're working on, and allow a constant, permanent public consultation to gather feedback from players around the European Union and potentially also beyond. And while we deliver our legislative proposals, we increment them with this feedback, but also allow the citizens and companies to provide opinions on other topics that we're not aware of. So it's really about channeling all this information to the regulators so that we can know how to intervene and as fast as possible. So that's about the forum. The second is about making sure that you are aware as a startup, if you want to set up in another country, member state, who to reach out to and what are the requirements necessary, so that you can scale up easily. Now we could definitely go much further. There was the idea of having also a mapping of all the key fintech players in Europe. I think you already are doing it with the Fintech Navigator for Holland, and we could do that at a European-wide level. And potentially have a sort of data hub with non-public data or synthetic data sets that would be made available by all the supervisory authorities across Europe to help develop proof of concepts, deploy them online, partner up with some of the key financial players, and potentially provide EU funding to go forward. So a sort of online sandbox. So there's much that can be done. I think we should go step by step, and based on what is considered more important and more of a priority, we'll build it. But it's definitely now the objective to have this running by mid this year, and it will be a unique platform gathering all the key players in the EU.
I'm really curious about it, and definitely also I think we already spoke about it to see how we can support you with that, of course. Looking forward to that. And I think it's really useful to look at that. And I also got triggered by the fact that you mentioned synthetic data sets. Right? You briefly touched upon AI, which I think is one of the crucial elements currently in the further maturing of financial innovation, as everyone has to deal with data. While I still feel that we're still only scratching the surface with what data governance should look like, as well as, for example, how to then deal with algorithms. I, in any case, find if you read the media or speak with people, that there's a lot of misunderstanding, and therefore it's also hard to come up with a good consensus about how it should work. How do you see your role in that? Do you see also there a bridge between DG Connect, DG Fisma, for example, to really look at how to actually deal with data in general, and to create a really clear set of rules that we can abide by, and know that it's an ethical and value, and let's say invaluable. It's a good way of actually dealing with data and sustaining it in the long run.
So DG Connect is legislating on a horizontal level, launching a data framework across sectors, and we as DG Fisma, we're focusing specifically on financial data or non-financial data for the financial sector, how it's used, and how algorithms and AI, financial AI, is being implemented. And so we will complement that horizontal framework with what are the specificities of the financial sector. Now, we're very aware that it is important to find a balance, that if you regulate too much, you will hinder innovation. And so we have to make sure that explainable AI, for example, we're not going to ask you to review every single lines of your algorithm. It's really to understand the logic, the outputs, the consequences on the users, if there's a possibility of appeal or not. So we heard the arguments, and it's important to be sensible at this stage and know what has to be done, not to hinder innovation, but also if we legislate, we can also create more legal certainty and provide more confidence to users that go through these interfaces and provide their data and rely on the outcomes that that are decided by these machine learning algorithms.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can understand that. I think that's quite a quite a good way to further do that, because if we also tie it into what we were just discussing with Olaf Sleijpen from the Dutch Central Bank, it's between entity-based and activity-based regulations. That's especially, of course, where you see that potentially legislation for financial regulated companies could altogether put them in a different category than other companies, by default creating a not level playing field.
Yeah. Well, indeed. So it's one of the big topics. We look into really applying the same activity, same risks, same rules framework, and this will definitely evolve over our mandate now for the next 4 years. And we are aware of the key arguments that come from all sides, from the startups, from the incumbents, from the threats that are being caused by the big techs and so on. So we are aware of all the arguments. We're taking them into account, and there will be recommendations, reactions that will ensue over the next 4 years on this topic.
Okay. So I think maybe to tie into one, I think there was also a question in the chat at some point. One of the regulations that you're working on is DORA, right? The Operational Resilience Act. So what do you see there is sort of the biggest change that companies could expect from that potentially? Is there like a principle behind it, which perhaps interesting to share from the perspective in how liability is dealt with throughout the value chain?
Well, I'm in my team. I'm not dealing specifically with DORA. We all have our respective streams because it's becoming much more specialized now. We were 3 initially, now we're a team of 15. So it's really showing that digital finance is becoming more and more important. So what is being done now is that we had about 6 meetings under the German presidency, and the ECB now is preparing an opinion on the DORA framework. And some of the key topics is how to achieve proportionality in the ICT risk management rules and in terms of scope, and the relations and articulations with the NIS2 framework. And so the discussions are ongoing. And again, I'm more than happy. You can reach me on LinkedIn via my email. What we do always is that we then direct the question to the specific team members that are working on these files. And so it's also important for us to get your feedback and know what could be improved.
Well, definitely something we could follow up on as well, to perhaps invite one of your colleagues to perhaps speak about that at some point and let's say enlarge the understanding of the principles behind it and where it currently stands and which direction it's going, and to give you feedback, of course. So then maybe one thing I just want to check in with you as well. You mentioned, of course, anti-money laundering, and I think that's one of the big, let's say, big topics over the past 2 years that have occupied the financial industry, I think, in the widest sense. It's fully understandable, of course, because I think financial crime, well, especially now these days that with COVID, we all have gone digital. Actually, financial crime has thrived by that as well, and it's become easier to do phishing or do fraud almost than we're all also in the offline world connected. How do you see that evolving from here, and what kind of input, for example, are you expecting from the market with that regard?
Well, regarding the anti-money laundering, so there will be a review to make sure that digital finance solutions that help do the due diligence necessary can be implemented across Europe in a harmonized way. But definitely it doesn't mean that we will dilute these measures and they will remain as strict as necessary, but we will complement them, augment them with digital solutions, which we have realized that some countries have been blocking so far, have been quite not as open as possible. And so it is our role at the EU level to make sure that we are aligned and can promote the use of such solutions to help implement our rules and frameworks.
So exactly, and that also sort of points the direction to subtech, right? So potentially to actually have a better digital connection between regulators and market entities, and so that's also high on your agenda to actually spur the use of technologies at that point.
Yeah, so there will be a supervisory data framework where we'll make sure that it's all harmonized across countries, and so that we also inside that way by providing that aid to the market to develop solutions. We have what's called the EU Fintech Clubs every 6 months, inviting various startup solution providers on specific topics. We had that one on RegTech, SubTech last year. And so we are considering also that via the platform we'll be launching later this year, we have regulatory call to actions on specific topics. So for example, we can say, well, we'd like to see solutions in the SubTech, RegTech field. Please provide your solutions. That helps you to create publicity and potentially also link that to other colleagues in the Commission that provide financing for such innovations. And one other topic could be, and this is clearly one of the key topics of the moment, is how digital finance and sustainability can be linked, how you can create synergies, one by help generating data, ESG data, but also helping investors be aware of sustainable projects and be able to finance, so crowdfunding and other such initiatives. So it's definitely, there's much to be done. There's now much more, of course, political will to promote digital finance, thanks to the coronavirus situation, definitely, but also because it's about modernizing the economy, and digitalization is one of the key 5 pillars of the presidency, of the new presidency of the European Union under President von der Leyen. And so more and more will come, will be more proactive, and again, we are trying to be as open as possible and work together with all the players in the market, such as Holland Fintech, representing the Netherlands.
Yeah, great, Alexander. And I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today as well, to show that you're also so open to reach to get feedback from the market. So that's also an invitation to our network to also be able to reach you. And where possible, we'll help to concert the effort if necessary. And I'm looking forward to stay in touch with you to see how we can collaborate on those matters and exchange knowledge on where the financial industry might be heading, given digitization and the use of technology. Thanks again, Alexander.
Thanks for having me.
And have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Likewise.
And then I'll hand it over back to Michael again.
Thanks a lot, Don. Thanks a lot, Alexander, as well, for sharing the insights. Really nice to see the engagement and involvement from a more regulatory perspective as well, because of course they decide what the playing field looks like for the financial and the fintech industry.
Michael, before you go working, there's 2 slides before that you just briefly have to show. I'm not sure if you can check that.
I can't see them here. Then I just have to reload the page, which I could do.
If you could check that. There's 2 things I think that are worth mentioning still.
Okay. Let's see if I can get there quickly. These slides, you mean? Yes, there they are.
So this one, I think this is good to know that as the board got started today, they're really looking forward. They're really sort of now putting down some grassroots and further shaping the governance of Holland Fintech with working groups, the bylaws, and everything else that needs to be shaped. So they're really keen on actually giving you an update, and we've set already a date for that. That's on the 9th of September. We actually intend to bring you all together again and let the board tell you what they've done up till then, and take you along with the story and let you influence where the rest of the story is going. So I thought that was in any case a good one to remember for everyone. And the next slide is actually for the ones that are a bit geeky and would like to know, like to check the real version of the Articles of Association. They're on the blockchain right now. So here's the address that you could actually check them out and validate the Articles of Association of the Holland Fintech Association. We'll share the address with you later on, so you could actually check it out directly. But this is, of course, really nice to get you all on board. And then I really leave it all to you, Michael. Sorry about the intermezzo.
No, that's okay. Maybe some final words from your part before you wrap up.
No, so I'm really happy. I'm glad that we got so many people on board today to witness the launch of the association, which to me personal is really special. And because I feel now really that we've got a much larger family that is working together on this project. And so I think it's going to work well to give Holland Fintech more stamina and make it more sustainable in the long run. And definitely add more value to the members as such. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm glad that we were able to put together a nice program like this today. So I hope everyone feels empowered, enthusiastic, and is looking forward to 2021, regardless of the lousy start with COVID.
Thanks a lot, Don. Very nice ending words. And indeed, I think the coming year is going to be very excited, and we're all looking forward to that at Holland Fintech. So that's it for the presentation side. We blocked your agenda until your calendar until 6 o'clock because we still want to make sure that we can do some networking. Because just as with physical events, where especially the meetup, where you would join and then afterwards you have a beer, you might bump into someone at the bar and randomly start a conversation, and next thing you know, you're running a business together a few months later. That's of course a very optimistic example, but you never know. So we're trying to get close to those, to recreate those situations in a digital format, which is made possible by the Hopin app. So at the left side, you can see the networking part. So how it works is you click on networking, you start searching for another person to network to, and then you'll be connected to another person, and you'll have about, I think, 3 minutes to talk to each other before the connection drops. So like that, you can get talking to other people who are also attending this event as closely to the real situation as you would with a beer in your hand standing at the bar. I think we have a short video that is just showing you exactly what to do. So on the left-hand side, you click on the networking part and you click on ready. You share your video session and you'll be connected to another person. So I hope that all makes sense. That's the wrapping up from my side as well. So thank you all for joining. I'm looking forward to talking to you for the next 12 minutes that I hope you kept free, and we'll be in touch very soon again. So thanks all for joining. I hope you enjoyed it, and looking forward to collaborating in the months to come. Bye-bye, and see you at the networking, because that's where I'm going right now. So see you all there. Bye-bye.